The earth became a weapon, an empire's might shattered not by steel, but by ingenious design. This is Dara. Moments earlier, the plains trembled with the clash of empires, a desperate stand against overwhelming odds. A brilliant Roman general, vastly outnumbered, dared to rewrite the rules of ancient warfare. His canvas was the earth itself. The fate of a mighty empire hung on a single, audacious gamble. 50,000 Persian warriors, elite and battle-hardened, advanced like an unstoppable tide of steel. These were the shock troops of the Sassanian Empire, a force forged through generations of conquest. Against them stood a vastly outnumbered Roman army, clinging to their last bastion on the eastern frontier. The odds were impossible, and courage alone could not bridge the gap. Dara, vast open plain in Mesopotamia, seemingly featureless, devoid of advantage. Yet this unremarkable ground was destined to become the crucible where two ancient superpowers collided. Soon this soil would drink deeply of blood, becoming the grave of an empire's pride. The survival of the Byzantine world, its prestige and its future, balanced on this battlefield. Dara, a vital Roman fortress, was the last bulwark against Persian domination. Roman military superiority, once unshakable, now hung by a thread. How could Belisarius, young and vastly outnumbered, defeat such a formidable foe, not with steel alone, not with swords or spears, but with something far more fundamental? His weapon would be the ground beneath their feet, trained, transformed, through pure strategic brilliance. This was a battle where terrain became the deciding force, where mud and rock delivered a crushing victory. The 6th century dawned upon a world carved by ancient rivalries. The Eastern Roman Empire and the mighty Sassanian Empire stood locked in a relentless struggle. Their conflicts spanned generations, fueled by ambition, ideology, wealth, and pride. Trade routes, faith, and culture collided violently along their borders. Cities fell, fortresses burned, and deserts became graveyards for entire armies. Treaties were temporary illusions, broken as quickly as they were made. Into this maelstrom stepped Emperor Justinian I, dreaming of restoring Rome's lost glory. Across the frontier rose Kavod of Persia, equally determined to expand his dominion. Peace evaporated, border raids escalated, powder keg ignited into total war. At the heart of the conflict stood Dara, the key to controlling Mesopotamia, the shield of Rome's eastern defenses. Against Rome marched the terrifying Sassanian war machine. Elite Savaran cavalry, armored like moving fortresses, known for thunderous charges that shattered armies. Waves of archers whose volleys darkened the sky. Persian victories mounted one after another, spreading fear like wildfire. Roman armies, caught between reform and internal politics, struggled to respond. But then came Belisarius Shung, brilliant and untested at this scale. His mind was sharp, his resolve unbreakable. Command of the eastern frontier now rested on his shoulders. Facing a massive Persian invasion, his forces were too few, too tired, and too exposed. A traditional battle would mean certain destruction. Belisarius surveyed the bare, unforgiving plain. It was perfect terrain for the Persians. Open ground where cavalry could devastate Roman infantry. So he refused to fight their battle. Instead, he would build his own. He gathered his officers and revealed a strategy so bold, so unconventional, that disbelief turned to admiration. He would reshape the battlefield itself, and so the Romans dug. The sound of picks and shovels echoed across the plain. Under Belisarius's orders, the earth became a masterpiece of defensive engineering. A massive central ditch too wide to cross, too deep to breach, stood at the core of his plan, an impenetrable barrier against Persian cavalry. 2 forward trenches angled outward, funneling the enemy into narrow killing zones. And a final hidden ditch lay concealed just ahead of the front line, a deadly trap meant to shatter charging horses at full speed. The flat plain became a maze of death. The battlefield itself had turned loyal to Rome. Then, from the desert horizon, the storm arrived. 50,000 Persian warriors under the veteran general Pheroras marched toward Dara. When they saw the Roman earthworks, shock turned to contempt. They believed the Romans were afraid to face them in open battle. Their pride swelled. They would crush this cowardice with overwhelming force. The Persians advanced, bows drew back. the sky filled with arrows. A rain of death hammered the Roman lines, relentless and suffocating, yet the trenches held. Roman archers returned fire, protected by Belisarius's defenses. The ground itself absorbed the Persian fury. Then came the thunder of cavalry. The Sassanian charged, expecting to break the Roman line in a single devastating blow. Instead, they crashed into trenches, fell, tangled, and died in chaos. Infantry pressed forward, only to be repelled in savage close-quarters combat. Javelins flew, shields collided. The trenches became slaughterhouses. The Romans held. The Persians pushed harder. Then came the moment Belisarius had anticipated. The Persian cavalry attempted to envelop the Roman flanks, believing victory was within reach. The Roman wings bent under pressure. Persian confidence surged. They pressed harder, unaware that this was exactly what Belisarius wanted. A single horn blast tore through the battlefield. From behind the trenches erupted the hidden Hun cavalry, a tidal wave of speed and ferocity. They slammed into the exposed Persian flank with devastating impact. Panic rippled through the ranks. In that same instant, Roman heavy cavalry surged in a perfectly timed pincer strike. The Persian flanks collapsed, formations shattered. The elite Sassanian broke into a fleeing mob. Men stumbled into the trenches, piling upon each other in desperate chaos. The ground turned into a graveyard of bodies. Persian confidence dissolved into terror. The rout was total. Roman cavalry pursued the fleeing Persians with ruthless precision. Arrows rained down on the broken ranks. The mighty Sassanian army, once the terror of the East, was annihilated. When the dust settled, thousands of Persian warriors lay dead. The Sassanian Empire reeled from a humiliation unmatched in its history. The image of Persian invincibility crumbled in a single afternoon. Rome rejoiced. Dara became a symbol of resurgence, a beacon of Roman strength. The victory transformed Belisarius into a legend. His name would echo across time as one of history's greatest commanders. His genius lay not in brute strength, but in shaping the battlefield itself, turning earth into a weapon. This victory bought Rome precious time, stabilizing the eastern frontier and allowing Justinian to turn his gaze westward. His grand reconquests were fueled by the confidence and security that Dara provided. And for Belisarius, Dara was the first masterpiece in a career of brilliance. The Battle of Dara remains a timeless lesson in strategy. Victory belongs not to the strongest army, but to the sharpest mind. For more epic historical narratives, subscribe to Pistoria. If you enjoyed this journey into the ancient world, like the video, share it, and tell us in the comments which legendary battle you want to relive next.